last few years, I have seen a number of comments from you guys and others asking, when are you going to get into long range? You know, they see us shooting here against the hillside, shooting within 50 meters, doing, pistol videos, shooting guns like that little budget honey badger, things like that. And it's all within like 100 meters, 50 meters in there. And people ask like, hey, why don't we ever see you shooting bolt guns? Why don't we ever see you shooting a little bit further? And I've wanted to get into long range. I've wanted to learn precision shooting, taking guns past 800 meters and really getting out there 1,000 meters. And this year, that is what I am starting to do. So recently I traveled out to take a 2-day class with a friend of mine who's very knowledgeable about these sorts of things, and got to sort of learn in a fast 2-day format, just sort of a broad scope of what long range is and what it isn't. And some of the equipment that goes along with that. And also the most important thing that I got leaving from that class with him was how I could work on some of these principles on my own here at our range. A lot of it's just been shooting at 100 meters, just working on my natural point of aim, my form in a prone position, shooting small little 3/4 pacers, and then shooting into 3-inch shoot and see circles off of barricades, off of tripods, things like that. Just getting my recoil management, my stance all figured out, shooting whether it's the gas gun or a bolt gun. I also have a bolt gun now, and just working the fundamentals. I'm not even shooting, far out to like, 600, 700 or whatever. I'm not spending a lot of my time doing that. I'm spending my time over the weekends just shooting at 100 meters, just getting my form and my fundamentals all correct. So I want to go over one of my guns that I'm using for this year as I am learning long range. And this is my first precision gas gun. We have a lot of other DMR gas guns in the armory. We've got 417s, we've got SCARs, we have all kinds of stuff. But this is my first precision gas gun. And I could say this is a precision gas gun because I have shot one of these guns out to a mile, which I would say is pretty precise. Being able to shoot out to a mile with a gas gun, that's pretty cool. This is a Seekins Precision SP10. This is chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor is the round that I've decided to go with. There's a lot of other cool rounds out there you can get into. My bolt gun is a 7.62, and I plan on getting a large caliber bolt gun in the future, an Accuracy International or something like that. But for now, I'm shooting smaller cartridges, so 6.5 and 308, just training with those, and then later I'll get a 300 Win Mag or 338 or whatever like that. But what's really cool about this gun is the rifle itself is not very expensive. This is like a $2,600 gun, if you can find them. They might be a little bit harder to find after this video, but they're like a $2,500 gun. It's not bad. It's really not crazy expensive. It's a lot cheaper than a 417. The accessories that go on it, though, obviously bring the price of this rifle up dramatically. So the overall price of this rifle in the setup right now is about $15,000. So walking you guys through this build, because obviously you can get into long range shooting for a lot less money. The bolt gun over there is quite a bit cheaper. I don't have rangefinders and things like that on it. But the gun itself at $2,600, I have a Thunder Beast Ultra 5 suppressor. It's just a little shorty can to bring some of the concussion and the noise down of this rifle. I'm not trying to eliminate all signature, flash and sound. I'm just trying to bring it down so for my own comfort, shooting it, and for other people around me, it's not too rowdy. So that's about $1,000 with the stamps and all that. I think it's around $1,000, 800 bucks, something like that. This is an MDT bipod. This is one of the nicer bipods on the market. It is around 600 bucks, believe it or not, for a bipod. So a little pricey. The scope, I'm using a Knights Armament 30mm mount, mainly because getting 30mm mounts with dive boards, there's not a lot out there. And this is one of the only ones that I could find. I want to say this is around a $350 for this mount. I would prefer to have something else like a Night Force 30mm with their dive board attached, but they don't make that for regular folks quite yet. And then I have a Raptor rangefinder. Now, for those of you that play Tarkov video games and things like that, you kind of understand what this is. This is a laser rangefinder that allows you to hit this little button right here by your fire control or on the other side, wherever you want to put it. It pulses a laser to tell you the range distance to that target, to that location that you are lasing. And then if you have it all synced up to the caliber you are shooting, the data behind your gun, the feet per second of the round, and a bunch of other information, it can actually give you a firing solution. This also has the ability to Bluetooth to a Kestrel, small device. I've got it in a pouch around here somewhere, that can also pull active wind that is occurring. Now that's obviously wind from where that device is sitting. If I'm just holding it right here, or have it positioned halfway between me and the target, target, I'll get a reading right there, but it can actually potentially shoot the data to this and give me a full firing solution for wind, trajectory of the round, temperature, you know, curvature of the earth, you know, all that good stuff. So really cool device, but they are pricey. They range at about $7,000 to $10,000 depending on which one you get. So right there, boom, that's a whole lot of money. Do you absolutely have to have this? No, you don't. You can get by with Kestrel, other ballistic, you know, an app even, if you know the range of the target, or you can laser it with a pair of binoculars. But I like training with this, just learning this device. I won't have them on every gun. And then it's also very useful if you don't have a spotter. I can just do everything on the gun, you know, for myself. I have an offset red dot on here because this is still, I am treating this like a designated marksman rifle. While this is a precision rifle, this is able to be shot up close. And I know some guys who have guns similar to this who are running offset optics for that reason. If they have to use it up close, they can. This isn't a bolt gun, this is a gas gun, like I can shoot it up close pretty fast. And we're actually gonna find out today a little bit about that. I swapped the stock out. This had a standard rifle length stock with all the adjustment. I wanted to go with a little bit of a collapsing stock because I am treating this gun more as like a DMR type rifle. So I have a CTR stock with the LMT rifle buffer kit buffer combo situation, or buffer tube, and then I have a Magpul riser just to ensure that my head is scrunched down with the scope, and that's actually working out really well. I did have to chop it so that the charging handle would fit, but it worked out. This is a Night Force NX8 2.5 to 20. What's really nice about this particular scope is it does not cost an arm and a leg. It's around $1,900. I like that it could go all the way down to 2.5 for that DMR roll, just because I can get a lot of field of view and really see what's going on. And I have shot with this scope on other guns, you know, 50 meters, 100 meters on 2.5, and I really like that. But then I can dial up to 20 to engage out to 1,000, 1,200 pretty easily. Tremor 3 reticle, again, I'm getting all the different scopes and all the different reticles, and I just want to use all of them. But this is a really cool scope. It is 30 millimeter, and like I said earlier, there's not a lot of options on the market right now for 30 mil scope mounts that can accommodate laser rangefinding devices or IR illuminators for shooting with clip-ons like PVS 24s and stuff like that. So that is the one downside to this scope, is that it is a 30 mil, but I've really liked this scope, and I'm probably using this on most guns because I like to be able to dial it back to 2.5 and be able to shoot it really fast. Again, the T.REX way. Radiant SD charging handle to help prevent some of the gas from hitting my face, which has been really nice. And then I also have this nifty little electric leveling device. So instead of just using bubbles to make sure my gun is you know, straight up and down and level for, you know, to prevent the trajectory from just eliminating that variable from happening, this is actually a device that uses little lights that will actually tell me which way the gun is canted, and it flashes green when the gun is actually perfectly level. Having shot with one of these before at that class, it was really cool because I was able to stay sucked into my optic, and I just had the little lights, you know, out of focus. I'm focused in on my optic and what I'm doing, and I can just see a flash of green in my peripheral, so I'm not having to pull focus to a bubble, back in the scope, back to the bubble, back to the scope. So that's really cool. The only downside is it does stick out quite a bit, so if you were carrying the rifle slung, that would get pretty annoying. But again, these are all little pieces of equipment that can make you more effective at shooting. You know, at distance. Are they necessary? Not really. And I plan on training, you know, removing these devices from my training regimen so I can learn just, hey, I've got to, you know, do milling without a rangefinder. I've got to shoot without this bubble level or use a normal bubble. My goal is to use all of the equipment that's available on the market, just like I've done with carbines and pistols, because my goal is to learn this, you know, from a very wide perspective than just one fully built gun that's $15,000. I want to get budget bolt guns, I want to get budget gas guns, you know, high-end stuff, all the different rangefinders that are on the market. That's kind of my goal over the next few years, but I'm coming and learning all this from scratch pretty much. All I know about long range is, you know, up until recently, is just aim higher as the target gets further away. Just like in the simulations, just like in Battlefield 4, just aim higher. But now I've got to actually, you know, take things into a little bit more consideration, reconfirm 0 after slipping turrets, and really make sure my suppressors don't move at all. I'm not constantly wanting to re-zero this gun, but I do want to confirm often. Just a lot of little details that I took for granted and really didn't exercise when I'm shooting regular carbines, you know, out to a couple hundred meters, because you don't really have to do that quite as much for those guns. So it's been really fun to get into something new, and I am learning. But what I want to know with this particular gun, because I have been training with this for the last couple weeks, is just how fast can I shoot this gun up close as a designated marksman rifle using this offset mount. I have not shot this gun up close. I zeroed this on Saturday. I shot like 3 rounds into a head box, but I haven't really done anything fast with this rifle. So I'm curious to see what I can do with it running around and shooting really fast. The T.REX way, the way that you all are accustomed to. We'll show long range shooting in the future. We'll travel, we'll do some different things, but I just want to see how fast I can shoot this guy as a DMR. So let's go find out. So for the close range drill that I will be shooting, I'll be running our 50 round carbine course of fire. It's a drill that I shoot with, it's a 7-string course of fire. It's always the same every time, 3 targets, same set positions, and I use it for tracking data across different guns and configurations. So I kind of know how fast I'm shooting different parts of this drill with like a normal 5.56 gun. So it'll be interesting to see how fast I shoot it with this gun that weighs 16.5 pounds loaded. So the real test is seeing if my time in the gym has paid off. Low ready, 1 shot to the head box. Stand by. Solid. And a 6.6, that's actually really good. High ready, stand by. Same hole. 9.5, under a second. Stand by. All right. Okay, all right. Hits could have been a little better. It's a 392. Guess I miscounted what was in the mag, but that was an 809. Haha, solid. Oh, that was good. 862. .1052, only 1 second slower than normal guns. .743. Alphas, so 4 C's, all A's. 2 head box there, Charlie's. We need 13. We're good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 Charlies, all A's. No deltas, no mics, no nothing. Cool. All right. Now I just need to total up 2 plus 7.43. Crap, 40 seconds. I was hoping I'd be under. And then for score, it's 4 plus 7 plus 9 times 2 is 49 minus 250 is 221. Score means 221 divided by 40.19 is, oh, that's really good for this gun. So this was actually a solid run with this rifle, even considering the weight, the size, how much slower a couple things were. I lost a second on my reload because I miscounted the rounds in the gun. But basically the way this works is you take all of the times for your strings of fire, you combine it into one lump sum. So it's 40.19 seconds it took me to shoot this entire course of fire. With normal 5.56 guns, it's usually like 35 seconds, 34. So I'm actually shooting it not that much slower. For score, all I had was Charlies, didn't have any deltas, didn't have any mics, so that's pretty solid. So Charlies are 3 points, alphas are 5 points, which gives me a total of 221 points, which you then divide by your time to get your hit factor. So it's not just about shooting the drill really fast. You do have to have a level of marksmanship and getting hits and getting points. But my sort of par for this, when I'm shooting this, is anything over 5. If I can shoot this with any rifle and it's over 5, I'm happy. An AK, a DMR, an AR, whatever. I've shot this in the 6s. I don't think I've ever shot this in the 7s. So being able to do this with a 16-pound DMR rifle with an offset is pretty solid. There were a couple things about this gun though that I noticed that I'm not a huge fan of, but again, it comes down to what you're prioritizing. The cheek riser definitely makes it a little bit more difficult to get on the offset optic. This is one of our T.REX mounts that has a riser plate that makes it a little bit taller. That helps a lot. If this were a standard offset mount, this would be a no bueno setup, most likely, because this is a pretty tall riser. And when you start actually rolling over into the optic, you just would have to dig your head down so much, and that would just be really uncomfortable. But with this T.Pro, it's actually a very nice, you know, presentation of the optic, and it's also raised up enough that it's getting past the windage turret right here. So that's pretty cool. It would be easier to shoot without the riser. But again, it's what do you prioritize? A good side picture with your scope, which is the main purpose of the rifle. Do you prioritize the offset? In this case, it makes sense to prioritize the scope. So very cool rifle. I probably will not shoot this in any sort of close range stuff after today because the main purpose is precision work. But if you do have a DMR, I highly recommend, if you are using an offset, shoot it at least once to know what's going on. Shoot a drill like this, really know how it's going to perform up close, what your height over bore is, and then just go back to work with your scope. So now, you know, we got a couple other things to do though, because this isn't the only drill I want to shoot up close. We got a couple more. So now I've got a better understanding of how this rifle shoots if I happen to run and gun with it up close, offhand, just absolutely slaying paper. Now, the reality is, behind this gun, I'm actually going to be shooting this long range 99% of the time. I'm not going to be shooting it, running and gunning and doing stuff like this. And the other reason for that is the barrel life doesn't usually like that kind of shooting that fast, getting the barrel that hot. This is a piece of equipment with a super accurized, awesome sub-MOA barrel that I don't necessarily want to blow out just shooting at 50 meters. I'm going to use my DMRs for that, my other guns, you know, like my Daniel Defenses, Scars, and things like that, for running speed drills up close and things like that. This is a dedicated precision gun, but I like knowing what I can do with this rifle, with this piece of equipment right here, if I happen to use it. Now, some of you guys might be wondering, why long range? Why are you getting into precision shooting? What's the practical application of this? Why spend $15,000 on a rifle? There were people asking in the last video we published, about talking about night vision. Oh, well, why do you buy night vision? These are all really good questions because all this equipment does cost money. And if you think night vision is expensive, long range gets even crazier, especially when you start looking at clip-ons, night vision clip-ons, and thermals to make the guns go a little bit further in different environments, just to be able to use them in different environments. But the reason I'm pursuing this is I just want to have a better understanding of utilizing weapons out to distance and just have a better understanding of weapons in general. But when we're looking at something like the Second Amendment, for example, the ability to take a rifle and engage a thing, let's just say, past, say, 100 or 50 meters or talking distance, I think is a very practical application for citizens to be able to understand. Now, I don't think that every citizen needs to go out and blow all this money on a precision gun and go spend a ton of time learning how to shoot 1,000 meters plus. This is more of, I see this as more of like a specialized role. Kind of like there's folks out there that are more interested in medical. There's folks out there that are more interested in communications. And then there's some folks that are just more interested in pistol shooting, and like that's their passion and their drive. I see precision shooting and long range shooting as one of those skill sets that not everyone has to get into. I do think it would be valuable for certain people in your let's just say, immediate, community or group of friends to understand the skill set and have the equipment to be able to execute and actually be able to use it. And so that's one reason I'm learning it as well, is I'd like to be able to know this because I've got other friends who know the medical, they know the communications, they know other things, but they're not necessarily investing the kind of time and money into learning this specific skill set right here. But I do think this is something for folks to consider. I think owning a designated marksman rifle, a weapon that's capable of shooting out to 800 meters, is something that the average person could actually get into. There's not a whole lot going on with a gun like that compared to shooting 1,000 meters plus. That's at least my understanding right now. But getting into this is definitely more of a specialized skill set, and it is going to require a lot of additional time and resources to be able to do it at least super well. You can get into it somewhat cheap, but you're gonna have to work even harder with some of that equipment. So, like I said before, I am not an expert by any means on long range shooting. I am learning this. It's been like 3 or 4 months since I've started diving into it. I hope to produce some videos in the future shooting at some different locations with wind. We don't have a whole lot of wind right here. It's pretty much just straight at us or straight away from us. We don't have any like side to side or anything like that. So the goal is to go and travel and actually shoot at some different locations, because that is a big part of learning the long range game. So, but as I progress in my own skills and knowledge, I'm sure I'll share at least some of what I'm doing to build that and some of the different equipment that we're using. But yes, this $15,000 rifle can be shot really fast. It actually held up pretty well on some of these drills, just like some of my 5.56 guns, and it's a 16-pound rifle with a bunch of extra crap on it. Would I want to carry this all day and do it? Not really. I would not want to do that at all, but the rifle is definitely capable of doing that. So, hope that was interesting, guys. If you are interested in learning long range, there's a lot of really good folks out there. You can, definitely not me, don't come to me for that, that you can go and follow and watch to learn some of this stuff. But we'll definitely be documenting some of the equipment that we're using and what we're learning. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time.